Hey guys, welcome back to Carpal Biology. And we are going to finish up the immune system now with talking about vaccines and talking about autoimmune diseases. So here we go, part three of of the immune system. So vaccines stimulate active immunity. And if you remember from the previous video, active immunity, actually, from the last video. Active immunity is where your own body is making antibodies against a pathogen. So it stimulates active immunity against a pathogen without causing illness. Now, vaccines do not cause, so for instance, the flu vaccine does not cause you to get the flu. The flu vaccine might give you symptoms, okay? You might have symptoms that make you feel like you're sick. You are not sick. It is your immune system making antibodies, which typically happens when you are sick, okay? So the feeling of your immune system getting into gear and like swelling up all your stuff and everything makes you feel like you might be sick. You are not sick with the flu by getting the flu vaccine. That's not how it happens, okay? But we will talk about that in a little bit. So a vaccine contains antigens that teach the immune system to recognize a pathogen. Most vaccines have dead forms of a virus in the vaccine, meaning that they killed the cell, but the cell still has antigens. Now, does your immune system, when you're injected, say this is an injection that you're getting for a vaccine, and it has dead cells, but those cells still have antigens. Is your immune system able to look at the cells in this solution and tell that those cells are not alive? No, it can't tell that a pollen grain's not going to do anything to you, just like it cannot tell that the viral cells in this vaccine are not alive and going to replicate and trying to cause you sickness, okay? So imagine for a second, think about like you're in a karate class or something. You're in a kickboxing class. You're in a kickboxing class and you are learning to beat up an assailant. You are learning to do that by beating up on like one of the body bag things, one of those like gigantic bags that you're like punching and kicking on, right? You are beating up on that bag. The next day, you are feeling sore. You're feeling roughed up. Were you just assaulted? No. Did the bag assault you? No, that's the same freaking thing that's happening with the vaccine. Okay, you get the vaccine, it's dead. Nothing in that vaccine is coming for you, right? Now, some people have a very, very small percentage of people have reactions to like allergies and things like that to some of the components of vaccines. Very, very, very few people though. So the next day you're feeling all beat up, your arm hurts, your lymph nodes are swollen, all of this stuff. Has the flu come and gotten you? No, okay? All right, so teaches the immune system to recognize pathogens. The antigens stimulate a primary immune response. So this primary immune response is going to feel the same whether it was from a vaccine or it's because your body actually saw a pathogen and is working to fight against it. It's the same primary immune response because it's the first time that your body is seeing that particular pathogen. So your body might feel symptoms of being sick. You don't have an infection, okay? All right, memory cells linger after the initial exposure to antigens in the vaccine, meaning that you've got memory B cells, memory cytotoxic T cells, free-floating antibodies that will help you if you are later exposed to the real pathogen. So if you're later exposed to the real pathogen, you will have this fast, almost immediate secondary immune response so that once again, when you're exposed to the real pathogen, you hopefully don't get sick because your immune system is ahead of it. It's like giving a leg up, okay? So you have like 2 people, right? One of them has gone to kickboxing classes for self-defense, and one of them has not. Can both people still try to defend themselves from an assailant? Yes, of course, and you should, yes. But which one of those people is going to be more prepared to defend themselves against an assailant? The one who had been preparing for it ahead of time and went to these kickboxing classes, right? Or these self-defense classes or whatever. Okay, so that's your secondary immune response. It's a stronger, faster, like by that point, it's like muscle memory, right? Okay, but I got sick. I had the flu vaccine and I actually got the flu. What happened? Did the flu vaccine give you the flu? No. Okay. Guys, when do most people get the flu? In cold and flu season. When do most people get the flu vaccine? In cold and flu season. So what is happening? What's more likely? You had a corpse in a corpse of a vaccine, a corpse of a virus in the vaccine that's injected into your body, and it came to life and beat you up. Or your vaccine did not protect you against the strain of flu that you actually got sick with. That's much more likely to have been what happened. In fact, that's all that happened. Okay, so if you actually got sick with the flu, guys, the flu vaccine, like, people hate the flu vaccine. Listen, it's true, people hate the flu vaccine. Is it good to get every year? Yes, I would suggest that everybody gets it every year. But the reason why people hate the flu vaccine, not even talking about anti-vaxxers, because unless it's for religious reasons, that's a whole different kind of, you're in a whole different group, okay? But if people don't love the flu vaccine because, like, in some years, it's like 20% effective. Now, would you rather a 20% chance that you don't get the flu because you were vaccinated against that strain? Or would you rather 100% chance that if you come in contact with the flu that you're going to get the flu, right? I mean, I would prefer to get the vaccine and hopefully be protected, but what's happening is that we make, in the United States, we have to be predictive, okay? We're using predictive models to determine, let me exit out of this. Okay, we're using predictive models to determine what strain of the flu, or strains, most flu vaccines protect you against 3 strains of the flu, and which strains of the flu are going to infect most people. And then we make vaccines for those in the summer before our cold and flu season. We predict which strains are going to be most prevalent based on what strains are most prevalent in South America during their winter, which is our summer, okay? And South America does the same thing. They look at the strains that are most prevalent in North America for their flu vaccines, okay? Now, is it true that there are tons of different flu strains? Yes, that is entirely true. Can we make one flu vaccine against every single strain? No, because you have to get it because it's one vaccine every year. You cannot make it new every year. So you focus on the 3 most prevalent cases in South America. You make a vaccine. If it's only 20% effective, that freaking sucks. If it's 50% effective, okay, all right, that's great. So here we go. But I got sick. What happened? Not sure if I have a great immune system or I don't interact with enough people to get the flu. Just dogging on y'all. What's the difference between the bird flu and the swine flu? One requires treatment and another requires ointment. Okay, HIV and influenza. There's no vaccine for HIV. Why? Because it's a rapidly evolving virus. This says, what does evolution act on? You know that I hope that you know that it acts on your genes, right? The variation, the genetic variation already present in a population, right? So it rapidly evolves, meaning that it's impossible right now, currently, and actually they're working on it. They really are working on it. To make a vaccine that goes and puts the antigens from these strains of HIV into a vaccine. That's going to be impossible because those antigens are changing all the time. But what you can do, and I think this is what they're doing for an HIV vaccine or an HIV, I think that there's one that's close, but you can go after like how the virus functions, right? And how it replicates instead of going after its antigens. Then how it replicates and how it reproduces is going to be standard no matter what strain it is. So that's how you would go after HIV. Similarly with influenza, so this virus also mutates rapidly, and each vaccine is only effective for one flu season because of this predictive nature, because it's always mutating. You cannot get vaccinated once and then just be good to go forever. How about the common cold? So the common cold, we do not have a vaccine for the common cold because there are like I think it's 300 different viruses that when we have symptoms, when we have a cold, we attribute it to one of the 300 of these viruses, right? So what the common cold is, it's this collection of viruses that more or less all give us the same sorts of symptoms, right? Of sneezing and runny nose, or even like a fever and things like that. Not so much throwing up for the common cold, but think of like head cold. So can we make a vaccine against the 300 viruses that cause the same symptoms that we know of as the common cold? No, you cannot. All right, what's a vaccine? It stimulates active immunity against a pathogen without causing illness, What did I want to tell y'all? Okay, before we move on, here's what I wanted to tell y'all. I told you that in some vaccines, in most vaccines, you're going to have a dead form of the virus that is injected into you. Sometimes you have what's called an inoculated strain of the virus, meaning that the cells are alive, but they're cold treated, meaning that these strains of the virus will only grow in cold temperatures, and they'll only reproduce in cold temperatures. Is your internal body temperature cold? No. So will it cause infection? No, because it cannot replicate. Is it dead? No, but it won't replicate, so it's not causing an infection. So it's just going to stimulate this primary immune response. For others, like for yellow fever, oh my gosh, if you're going out of the country and you have to get a yellow fever vaccine, you have it is also an inoculated strain of the virus, but it is much more powerful than something like an inoculated strain of the flu. Okay, so with yellow fever, it's important that you actually do get, you actually do have a low-grade infection, because that is going to give you so many more antibodies than just like a dead, non-replicating form of a virus. I hope that makes sense. If you are going to an area with yellow fever or with whatever, something that you need to be vaccinated against, it is super important for you to have as many antibodies and memory cells as possible. So you want as close to the real infection as you can possibly get without it like taking over your body. Okay, I hope that that makes sense. All right, so as your immune system develops, as you're growing and developing, clonal deletion should eliminate B cells that produce bodies corresponding to the body's own molecules or to molecules in the foods that you typically eat. So what happens is that have cells or all cells that have different receptor shapes, okay? Different receptor shapes on these different, and some of these receptor shapes are going to match with the antigens on your own body's cells. If that happens, and if these are not eliminated, then they will kill your own body's cells. Do you want that? No. So clonal deletion, go through, and natural killer cells are going to eliminate the B cells or T cells corresponding to your body's own antigens. Protects us against self-immunity. Our immune system also learns not to attack the antigens in food this way as well, because everything you're putting into your body has antigens. Do you want your immune system attacking the foods that you're eating? No, you should be able to get nourishment from them. So your immune system will learn not to attack these things. Okay, so if clonal deletion fails, it can result in an autoimmune disorder where your immune system mistakenly attacks your body's own molecules or your body's own cells. Now, once again, this is demonstrating the fact that your immune system, your white blood cells, they do not have little like binoculars looking around saying, okay, that's a pollen grain, that's cat dander, that's my own body cells, that's a deadly viral pathogen, that's a bacterial cell. It can't do that. It can only detect antigens. And guess what? If it finds an antigen that it can bind to, even if it's your own, it's going to kill it. It's going to neutralize it. That's why it's important to go through this process of clonal, that your body automatically does this, okay? Your body will automatically go through clonal deletion, but in cases where it doesn't, it leads to autoimmune disorders. All right, so autoimmune disorders, common examples of autoimmune disorders are lupus, type 1 diabetes, rheumatoid arthritis, multiple sclerosis, inflammatory bowel disease, and again, this is where your body produces antibodies in response to an unknown trigger that attacks your own body's cells, okay? So autoimmune, immunity to self-immunity. That's not a good thing. Your immune system is literally attacking your own body cells. May be brought about by risk factors like genetic risk factors, genetic predispositions, trauma, stress. It can be brought about by a lot. Oh my God, hormonal fluctuations, like getting it. Lots of autoimmune disorders can actually show up in pregnant women, okay, because of these hormonal fluctuations. So important. Speaking of hormonal fluctuations, 75% of people living with autoimmune disease are women. 75%. A few reasons that this could happen. It's not known for all of them, all of the different autoimmune diseases, but we can postulate about why. So women have stronger, more sophisticated immune systems than men. That is not a judgment call on the little dinky immune systems of men. It's not. It's not. Why is it important that females have a stronger, more sophisticated immune system than men? Because they literally are the future of the species. Because you cannot, they carry the next generation. Like, that's pretty important that women have strong, sophisticated immune systems. But because you have stronger immune systems, you can also have overreactive immune systems where you get allergies more often or these autoimmune diseases more often. Also, hormonal fluctuations, monthly hormonal fluctuations, okay? Genetic susceptibility. Some of these autoimmune disorders are linked to the X chromosome. If you have two X chromosomes, you have more of a genetic susceptibility to these particular autoimmune diseases than men, because men only have one X chromosome. And then pregnancy, the ultimate hormonal fluctuation. Okay, so when we will talk about hormonal, like, fluctuations through menstrual cycles in the reproductive system. But so you have these two sex hormones. Females have these two sex hormones, and they're constantly just going like this, okay, alternating. Now, estrogen and progesterone, they're constantly alternating like that. During pregnancy, you have 15 to 40 times the amount of estrogen in your body as you do at any other time when you're not pregnant. Okay, so that is like the ultimate hormonal fluctuation. Tons of crazy shit happens to your body when you're pregnant. You've heard me bitching about it for like 6 weeks now. So, okay. In an immunodeficiency, so an autoimmune disorder is where your immune system attacks your own body's cells. In an immunodeficiency, your immune system lacks an essential component, at least one essential component. What could these essential components be? If you lack B cells, if you lack T cells, if you have a significant burn and you're missing a huge swath of your skin, if you lack, if you're not able to induce fevers, if you, like, all of these things, if you can't make antibodies. All right, so people with these immunodeficiencies, they're vulnerable to opportunistic pathogens, which are, you have bacteria like all over your body, all over your body, all over your gut, everywhere, okay? Typically, they are happy to hang out on your eyelashes and on your eyebrows and in your hair follicles and on your skin and in your gut, but because you're feeding them and they're taking up space, it's fine. But if they have an opportunity to move into your body and colonize places that they couldn't normally because of an immunodeficiency, because they can get away with it, they will. That's opportunistic pathogens. They're invaders. They do not normally affect people with healthy immune systems. All right, we're at the end of the immune system. I hope you really liked that. I love the immune system. So if you have questions, please post them in the comments of any of the immune system videos and I'll get back to you. And I hope you have a great day.